Okay, so your heads up to this part 2. It's the part 2 of Imposter Syndrome, which actually I don't really believe exists. Because we're all imposters, and I'll tell you why. Have a listen. Oh, and I also give you a lot of how-tos. Have a listen.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, welcome back to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast and Imposter Syndrome Part 2. Because we did Part 1 at Part 1. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you a story. A story that I suppose happened about 10 years ago, maybe, between 8 and 10 years ago. And the thing is, I was on my trainer's training, and I've told this a little bit before, but there was 70 people on that training. That's a lot of people. And when you're like me, being that little introvert, 70 people was a lot of people. So I had to deal with some stuff myself, just going there. I was also not in the best place in my head, which is why I went to find something that I could put my mind to. So again, dealing with one or two things which wasn't really helping. So I thought, well, I'm okay because I'm with 70 people all in the same state as I am, the same level of learnings, because we're all here to become and learn to become trainers of NLP. But then I found out that at least 65 of those 70 people were already trainers in their own right. And the reason they came to that training was because it was a training with a guy called Robert Dilts and Judy Delosier. And they are awesome trainers. They just wanted to be with them, to study them, to model them, and just to be in their company. So you could see these people, when we did an exercise, these people were doing it in a way that comes second nature to them. So imposter syndrome I had a big time, even though I was going through lots of emotional stuff of my own making. Just being there, I felt, well, maybe I should have been doing this a long time before I came here, just like these other people. But the thing is, they were good people. They were nice people. But the thing about them was, they were just people on their own adventure. Yeah, they had their experiences and the skills that they could do trainings, but I found out they didn't have some of my skills, which boosted me up a little bit. But the thing was, it was about me, my journey, my adventure. And when it was just about me and I put myself in that particular state, then those other 65 people, or 69 people, were just my friends, my accomplices to getting me to be where I want to be, because they were now going to be my inspiration. I was going to bloody learn from them. So therefore the imposter syndrome went away, because this is my opportunity to see such a varied way of doing things that I could do it and have my own style come out. And so when we started doing these exercises, these people would come along and give a wonderful little mini presentation, and then I had to do my story, my little presentation. And I did it to the best of my ability. And the thing is, the feedback I got was absolutely amazing. These people were saying things like, I really felt your story. You came across so honest. You inspired me. And I'm going, I inspired you? Whoa. And it got nothing to do with being an imposter, because that's what's made up in your head. And the thing is, and I talked about this a little while ago, everyone's an imposter. What? What's that, Cluffy? Yeah, you are an imposter. I'm an imposter. Everyone. And there's most generality I can think of. Everyone's an imposter, because you're not living your life to your full potential. And therefore, you're impostering being you. But the thing is, that's also a good thing, because we can all strive to be our best. We can all strive to be at or use our potential skills to strive to be the best we can ever be. And the thing is, knowing that we never will be, because we can always be that little bit better. So we're always going to be an imposter. So let's embrace it. Let's go to a place where people are better than us. We've talked about that before in a little bit about having our competition being not the people that we envy, but the people we go, right, you're going to empower me to do this. And in fact, it was that last, I think it was an FMQ I did about using or finding your competition that inspired me to do the imposter syndrome, because a lovely guy called David sent me some feedback about that particular episode and said that, it helped him through bits and pieces of imposter syndrome. And I thought, well, let's carry it on, just like I did with Will. Let's do a podcast that can really, hopefully, help everyone realize you're not an imposter. You just have to learn and be there, willing to do whatever it takes. Because everyone else in that room is probably thinking I'm an imposter too. And the thing I got out of just thinking about this was my little meta title that I hide in the corner or at the top of the page of my notes. And it was a belief. And it was, I'm here because I can be. Simple as that. Guess I can be. I can be me here. That's all I need to be. And if I can be the best me, there's no imposter syndrome at all, because I'm going to use everyone else to learn. I don't want to be the biggest and most intelligent person in the room. I want to be the least intelligent, the least accredited person in the room, so I can learn from everyone. Everyone then becomes my teacher, and they don't know it. They get to teach me, and I'm going to encourage them to teach me, even if it's only just watching, modelling them. So that's the thing about imposter syndrome. It is a thing that is made up. It's made up in your head. It's made up, as we said, with a positive intention, but we'll get there in a minute. Well, let's review what we talked about on the part 1. We said imposter syndrome. What is the definition? The fear of being exposed. And we've just turned that round. We've reframed it. Being exposed to people who can teach you things. You'd pay good money to be taught by people who are good at stuff, wouldn't you? Absolutely. So I want to be exposed by those people. Or not exposed by them, exposed to those people. And I know, because I do it genuinely, they're going to help me. But the thing is, we all wanted the hows. Everyone wants a how. Oh, show me the process, Paul. But first we needed to learn the foundations of what's happening here. And the biggest, I think, the most important foundation of all of this, it's a behaviour. It's not a syndrome. It's not a syndrome at all. It's just a behaviour. The thoughts you have when you think you're an imposter, or you'll be found out, or you'll be exposed. They are just thoughts, and thoughts are just behaviours. The feelings you get, the emotions you get, just behaviours. That internal voice and the pictures that you create, you decide, by the way, to create these. They're just behaviours. So thoughts, feelings, and those in that internal voice and pictures are just you behaving in a certain way. Maybe there's a little limiting decision, a little limiting belief in there too. But they're all behaviours. And the one good thing about behaviours is they can change. Just like that. We can let go of a limiting decision, a limiting belief, just like that. Because they're just behaviours. And the good thing about this is, well, it's what I believe, and it's part of the NLP presuppositions. Every behaviour has a positive intention. So that's awesome. Now we know something is trying to do something good for us. All we have to do is change the behaviour and keep that intention. Because being safe, maybe, being protected, not being hurt, if I have that and can learn at the same time, I'm going to learn even more. So I want to keep the intention, just change the behaviour. And the thing is, it's all being triggered, uniquely triggered by your unconscious mind. So that's another big yay up to my best friend inside. Yeah, you're trying to do something good for me. And I don't have to think about it. The only thing I want to do is change those behaviours so I can learn, so I can be the best I can be, so I can contribute, so I can just feel good, learn and feel good at the same time. Never be hurt. I'll always be safe, because that's the intention of my unconscious mind. It'll protect me in that way. All I want is now to change the behaviours. And the whole thing about this is there's a massive conflict going on. and getting your unconscious mind just to understand the massive conflict. The conflict is, it wants to keep you safe from being hurt, but feeling these feelings, having those thoughts, having that limiting belief, remember the word, limiting belief, is doing exactly the opposite of what your unconscious mind wants you to be and feel, which is to feel safe. Because you don't feel safe when you have all these things going on. But if you were to feel safe, if you knew that you were totally protected, you could be in anybody's company and enjoy it. And you would never get hurt that way, because you've got your unconscious mind looking out for you, but you're going to do it in a different way. Because if you're feeling comfortable, you're feeling competent, you're feeling confident in yourself, there'll be things you don't know, and you can actually say to people, that sounds really interesting, but I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. Would you explain it to me? And you know what? That person will go, oh, of course I will. All you have to do is say, just ask. Because people love to do things like that. And it's free. And you feel comfortable. You've got a friend, you've got someone, you've got a mentor maybe there. I mean, I had 65 bloody mentors when I went to that trainer's training. But for the first day, I thought I was out of my depth. I shouldn't be here. And then I just had to learn something. And it was like my unconscious mind did it for me anyway, because I had to do a very short 2-3 minute presentation about my unconscious mind in the very first day. And I did it. And this metaphor of a candle being lit and sometimes just going into a very dim light and then suddenly brightening up. And it just suddenly made me feel, my candle's there. All I've got to do is keep feeding it with learnings, and it gets brighter and brighter. And that just got me through everything, because it was like my unconscious mind goes, hey, you're here because you can be. And now the reason you're here is because there's 65 other people, or 69 people, plus the trainers you are going to learn from. That's awesome. Now we know you can be safe because you're here to learn. And that's all it's about. So what else did we do? Well, what we talked about was acknowledging our successes, acknowledging our achievements. And I suggested doing that as like a mind map. A mind map to just go through in any different context your achievements, your successes. And if you remember, it was also maybe just thinking that if you went to sleep and something happened overnight, that this imposter syndrome disappeared completely, those feelings, those behaviours. I wonder what achievements you could make. But first of all, before we go there, I want you to notice all your achievements and to look at each one, and each one you write down was to then go back to a time when you could remember achieving that particular thing, that success, and noticing what it felt like. Feel success. Feel that achievement again and again. Because you're telling your unconscious mind, when I'm achieving, when I'm successful, it felt good. And also, I felt there was no unsafetiness there. There was no fear. I didn't think about, should I be safe? Should I do this? Because I was just being me. Because I could be. I can be. I can be there in that success, in that creating that achievement for me, because I did it. We did it. And you get to feel that feeling. And you can anchor it if you like. And I suggest you do. So when you really feel all those feelings, so you go round and you feel them, just anchor it. Maybe squeezing a finger and a thumb together. Every time you feel that feeling, just squeeze that finger and thumb, then let it go, then squeeze it again and have that feeling again, because we're going to use it. Then I wanted to suggest that you need to know what outcomes you want. Now, what are your dreams? What are your goals? And list them in context. Now, you see, sometimes, because we just don't go into too much detail, they tend to become overwhelming, or because we don't quite know the steps, because we want to know all the hows, we tend to lose a little bit of track with it. But the thing is, what I wanted you to do was to spend just some time with them. Now, well-formed outcomes, I say that again so it's a bit clearer, well-formed outcomes, they're your goals, and they're well-formed. How do you know what a well-formed outcome is, a well-formed dream, a well-formed goal? Well, to help you with that, there's a hypnosis track. and it's hashtag 91.2. Just go to paulcloughonline.com/podcast, sign in, sign up, and look for that hypnosis track. And it will just take you through as you think about that goal. It'll lead you through the thoughts you can have at the unconscious and conscious level to have an outcome and have it well thought through. You might want to say, well, I know about this, but I need to spend a bit of time. I need to maybe just deep think that. Hey, guess what? There's a deep thinking hypnosis. Same place. That's hashtag 44.1. So you can start to really look deeply, deep thinking about the outcomes and dreams that you want to make sure they're exactly what you want. Because sometimes the reason we have this I'm in the wrong place is because we're in the wrong place. We shouldn't be there because we don't need to be there. We're doing things that we haven't thought through, or we're doing things that, quite frankly, are not your real goals, your real dreams. They may be things that people think that we should do. I ought to do this because everyone else is. Now, sod that. These are your goals, your outcomes, your dreams. And you can have them for every context in your life. But then, so we've got our dreams. We've gone through them in a way that, with deep thinking, we've thought about them. We've got our well-formed outcome. So we know we've got like an unconscious plan in mind. But there's still something we need to discover. And that was that belief that we have that is attached to those behaviours. Those old behaviours, those old thoughts, those old feelings, those old internal pictures and voices that we hear. What is that limiting belief? That limiting decision we made to create that belief. How do you find it? Well, the way I do it with my clients is just to say, well, go to that feeling you have when you feel the issue. So it could be for you when you've had in the past this feeling of being an imposter, that fear of being found out, that fear of being exposed. Go to that feeling. Just recall that feeling. Don't have to be 10 out of 10. Just recall that feeling. Notice where it is in your body. And just for a moment, close your eyes and go into that feeling. Just become aware of the feeling. Where is it in your body? Just notice it. You might want to explore it a little bit, just a little bit. What are the qualities of that feeling? I want to say qualities, not good or bad, but they're just the modalities. Does it have a colour? Does it have a temperature? Does it have a weight? Does it move? Those type of things. But even if you don't do that, you just put your awareness into the centre of that feeling in your body, and you ask yourself, what belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? So if you were to do that now, and you went back into that feeling, do it with me now. Think of a time when you felt that fear of being exposed, or you really felt being an imposter. Close your eyes and feel the feeling. You might just want to remember a little bit of that memory, so you can just recall that feeling. It doesn't have to be a big one, not a 10 out of 10. 5 out of 10 is fine. And as you feel the feeling of that imposter syndrome, that fear of being exposed, shouldn't be here. And as you do that, you put your attention into the middle of it and ask yourself, what belief do I have about myself that makes this feeling so? And without editing, without thinking, what's the words that come out of your mouth? Normally, I'm not, or I can't. And just notice it and write it down. Don't forget it. And if it comes out, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, just notice if you said, because, what comes after that? If nothing comes after that, you stay with that. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. But if there is something, it's because I'm something else. And then you say to yourself, okay, that belief, that matches that intention to keep me safe, because I'll never do any of this stuff with that type of belief. But the thing is, if it was, say, a belief of I'm not good enough, forget the because at the moment, but if it's I'm not good enough, what I want you to do is to then go back through those successes and achievements and notice that you were good enough. Find those counterexamples. Go to that mind map and find those counterexamples when you were perfectly good enough. You achieved things, so you must have been good enough. Maybe even think when you had that feeling of success, you dive into that feeling of success. Remember that anchored feeling, and ask yourself, what belief do I have about myself now with this feeling? And that's going to be, I'm okay. Maybe I'm here because I can be, or whatever. I don't want to put it into your mind. I want your own belief. And notice that's a perfect counterexample. And every time you find it, the opposite, the counterexample, where you were worthy, where you were good enough, that belief of not being good enough has to loosen, has to get shakier, has to just, well, it's called loosening the model of the world, because that belief is not true. You may have felt it then, but it was not true, because there are times when you have been totally successful. You achieved, you had that achievement, that sense of achievement. How did you feel? I felt strong inside and I had this belief. And what I'd like you to do, having loosened that model of the world, knowing those achievements, I want you to think about those outcomes you'd like for yourself. And as you do that, maybe fire off the anchor of that achievement. Maybe think of that belief that you had when you were achieving. And pick one of those outcomes for the moment. For this exercise, just pick one of those outcomes. And notice, if you were to imagine succeeding, having succeeded in that goal. The last step where you know that goal has been achieved and you've succeeded more than you could ever believe possible, that it's exceeded your expectations. Feel that feeling. What would that be like if you knew that you could have that goal and it would exceed your expectations tenfold, 100-fold, 10x, 100x, as they say now, and feel it. And then look at the next goal on that list you wrote and think of that. What would that be like if I was able to have that goal, and if like a miracle happened overnight, I've now got that goal? What would that feel like? And then take the next goal and go, same thing. If I achieved that right now, so when I achieve that, what would it feel like? That's a better way of putting it, Paul. When I achieve it, what would it feel like? And feel those feelings. Feel those feelings. Say it clearly, Paul. And then go to the next goal. What will this feel like when I get that feeling right now? And if you've got 5 or 6 goals, just keep circling round and round. So you go from one successful feeling to the next successful feeling, to the next one and the next one and the next one, and anchor that in a different place. Another finger. So you've got a total set of, like not a mishmash, but it's like a stacked anchor of all different successes. And then knowing that feeling, just maybe pick one of those goals and firing off that anchor. What would be the smallest step you could use right now? The smallest step that you could do that can allow you to move towards your goal and have this feeling. And begin to imagine doing that. Make a movie of it as if it's happening right now. So you could see yourself as if you'd got it right now. And the next step and the next step. And as you're doing all of that, make sure you've got those people in there. The people who will be around you when you have that goal. And the goal can be just going in the social settings. It doesn't have to be the biggest goal in the world. Each goal is a goal. There's nothing bigger, nothing smaller. They're all the same. They're just goals and outcomes that you want. So I want to be able to go and network with people and to be myself. I want to be able to go into a different, maybe for me, if I'd have done this and gone to my trainer's training, I would have been even more empowered to learn from those 69 other people. I'd have made more friends. But we have to learn these things. I can learn now to use that. But once you've got that real feeling, just ask, this or something better. And having done all of that, ask your unconscious mind if you were to put maybe in one hand those old feelings, those old, now redundant feelings. I think they're redundant now. Those old behaviours, those thoughts and feelings, those internal voices, that old limiting belief. And then on the other hand, stack all those wonderful successes from the past, the beliefs you had there, and your wonderful sense of achievement for when you think about those new goals that you've got. And just ask your unconscious mind, would it be okay to keep the intention of all of this and find a better way to achieve all these wonderful successes? And just keep doing that. Take a little bit of time. Notice what happens inside. Maybe you'll get a feeling that just feels right. And then what I'm going to suggest you do is you actually start acting upon those goals. Noticing when you do, there is no fear of being exposed. In fact, there's an excitement about being exposed to people around you who can help you. There's no fear of being exposed anymore. There's that wonderful feeling of being exposed to be able to express who you really are, to show yourself. We talk about singing from our true voice, being aligned for who we really are, that inner strength, that inner humour that we have and the love that we have. When you put all those three together, where we can show compassion, where we can show friendship, where we can just show ourselves. And when we do that, people will get it. And if they don't, the thing is, they can just sling the hook, because they'll be out of your eyesight. They'll be out of your peripheral vision, because the only people will be the people who get it, because you will connect to them in such a unique, wonderful way that they'll be there to help you. And you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed, like I was in that trainer's training, with all the wonderful feedback you get, because we always, and this is a big generality, but it's true, we always fail to recognise how good we bloody are. We really do. Because in the past we always looked at those negative things, because that sort of protected us. Stopped us being, I won't call it too big for our boots, because this isn't about being too big to our boots, for our boots. It's not about having that big ego and showing, oh, look at me, look at me. It is saying, look at me, but it's saying, look at me, because this is who I am. I'm here because I can be. This is me, my voice, who I am. I'm aligned, I'm congruent in where I'm going. And I know you get it, because you'll be communicating on so many levels. It won't be just your voice. You'll communicate with your body, your non-verbal communication. It'll be through your eyes, through your words you use, your tonation. It'll be through the things that people just pick up on. That vibration that you give off. They'll just get it, because now you're being true to you. And that's not really being vulnerable. It is in a way, but it's been a good vulnerable, because you're going to encourage other people of a like mind to be with you at that level. And that's a high level. You are now being part of something very special. I'm very tempted to swear here, but I'm not, because we just got to say, F you, imposter syndrome. This is so much better now when I can be myself. Thank you for having this wonderful intention for me. And now I know you're going to find all the wonderful ways. So what I'm going to suggest is go through all those hypnosis tracks I've put up on paulcloughonline.com/podcast, because there's 40 plus there. Each one of those will give you something. There's one about letting go of beliefs. I forgot to tell you. It's #4.1. So if you find that belief and you've done those counterexamples and you just want a little bit more help to let it go, there's a bit of hypnosis there. And these aren't hypnosis tracks to be like a support for you. They're to help you change, because you have the intention to change. And when you have that intention to change, these hypnosis tracks will help you. Well, they'll just exceed all your expectations. I hope this has in some way inspired you to go and just show yourself for who you really are and say, F you, imposter syndrome. I want to be exposed in a nice way. You know what I mean? And feel empowered to be you. Show yourself. Sing from your own voice. Show yourself. Be bloody vulnerable at the right time, at the right place. And just communicate with just a message of being you. Even if it's just to learn. And know that there are people out there who want you to be there with them. Yeah, they may have, you look at their achievements and you go, wow, overnight sensation. And they go, yeah, Paul, it took me 20 years to have this overnight sensation of knowing what I know now. I forget that I've been doing this stuff for nearly 20 years now. 21 years ago, I knew bugger all about any of this. It was outside my comprehension. And doing the things I do now with clients, that was wasn't in my vision. Even a few years in, it was, I'll never get there. I'm not that type of person. I'll never be able to do that stuff. And then it becomes a natural habit. You just do the things that you love. And when you do that, things just seem to happen, don't they? And I believe when you do this type of stuff, this whole thing I keep talking about, synchronicity, getting lucky, coincidences, they just happen to you. Because they will. Please let me know if this has made any difference to your life. Good, bad. I'm sure there's no bad in this, but if there was, I'd love to know if this has made any difference to your life at all. If this is the type of thing you like me to do, a 2-part thing where we can deep dive into various things that you need. It was inspired to me from a single line in an email, and I wanted to give more back because it helps me. This helps me to get rid of my imposter syndrome because now I can talk from my heart. And if I'm wrong, I'm doing it from the best intentions, but I'm also doing it from, a sort of skill level, I guess. And I don't think I'm wrong. You'll never be wrong. There is no wrong, is there? When you do things with the best intentions, because you can always learn. And I'm sure when I look back at this, there'll be a part 3 to come because I'll go, oh, Paul, you should have said that. Oh, they've found something new. And I will. And I won't be ashamed to say, hey, I've just learned something else. Let's do a part 3. Let's come along this little adventure with me again and just keep getting bigger, better, stronger, more competent in being you. Because when you're competent being you, you can have that inner confidence, that supreme inner confidence. Yeah, do that as well. Got a lovely little program on that, but this is not selling that. You can go there if you want. paulcloughonline.com/confidence. That could help you boost this, but you've got loads of stuff here. Loads of stuff. You might have to listen to it a couple of times because I know I've gone around the houses and in and out of every doorway that comes along. But I think if you just get your journal out, go through those successes that you've had in the past, feel them again. Anchor them. Think of the goals you want. Feel what it'd be like to achieving them. Get rid of that old limiting belief by asking, what belief do I have about myself, about this old feeling? And then find those counterexamples and then spin, as it were, the feelings of already achieving those outcomes that you've got in mind to create a whole massive feeling of motivation that will empower you. It'll empower you to get your goals. I know it will. Anyway, that's enough waffling and wandering about for me. Have more fun than you can stand and achieve more than you could ever imagine possible. Because we know when you put into your mind that possibility of everything, you can do and imagine anything you like and then get there. This or something better. See you soon. Bye. Hey, don't you just hate selling your own stuff? I know I do. I can sell things. I've got all those techniques and things like that, but that's not about selling my own stuff. But I do need to let you know, we've got a lot of free hypnosis tracks, over 40 hypnosis tracks at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. But on top of that, there are some premium hypnosis tracks together with 2, I think, really quite good. Well, not quite good, Paul. They are good, effective, things that work. They are 2 programs. One is Free Your Life of Anxiety. First 5 days are absolutely bloody free. So what you've got to lose other than your anxiety? Certainly gives you a great insight into what anxiety is all about for you. And then obviously there's the premium side. But also we have supreme inner confidence. And don't be put off by the word supreme. It's a little bit of clickbait, I guess. It's just about having supreme inner confidence in yourself, where you have that inner strength, that inner confidence, that inner competence. And there are, I think, really good processes that I've developed that take away the uncertainty, the fear of the past that created your unconfidence, then allowing you to access all the resources that you need to be totally confident, supremely inner confidence. Have supreme inner confidence. And then takes you into the future, so you can actually have your unconscious mind like program the things that could happen in the future. If they did, you would have that supreme inner confidence without thinking. Because that's what it's all about. Becoming naturally, supremely inner confident in yourself and your own inner abilities. Okay, so that's it. If you would just go there, have a look. They're both at Paul Clough Online. And if you want to go there directly, go to paulcloughonline.com/anxiety or paulcloughonline.com/confidence. As simple as that. Have a look around. Every product has a money-back guarantee. If you don't like it or you don't get the result, no questions asked. Okay? Please have a look. It would be great if you did.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.